Okay, good morning everyone. I am here today from LABC Warranty. My name's Scott Wimpenny. I work for the team, the technical standards team, and we deal with the technical manual and all of the sections that you see within that manual. I'm here today to talk to you specifically about section 2 and some of the changes that we've made going forward and why we've made those changes. So I think first of all, we'll cover who we are for those in the room that don't know. LABC Warranty have been providing services, latent defects, insurer services to the residential and commercial sectors since around 2007. In that time, we've developed a technical manual into a comprehensive guide of how to support delivery of that warranty and how to achieve that warranty cover. As it stands today, version 11 of technical manual of the LABC Warranty Technical Manual has 24 sections, including the appendices, which cover materials and all the rest of the information that's in there, and it spans over 500 pages, and it's got all of the functional requirements and all of the technical guidance that we feel is necessary to share to achieve building warranty. So why we're here today? Well, earlier in the year, as James was saying, we spoke to the PCA and we felt that this was the ideal opportunity to go through how Section 2 has changed and why we made those changes. And also to explain really the improvements as we see them. But before we go through that, I think what I'd like to do is point out a few points on warranty risk to us. Water and moisture ingress is still a major source of risk for warranty providers. The cost to remediate that defect's very high, and especially so post-completion. We are the first point of call with defects of all kinds, including this, and the work that goes into not only resolving that issue for the policyholder, but also the investigation, the task of recovery with developers. It means that these can rapidly rise, and they do so. So it's in our interest to constantly review and minimise exposure to those costs. And we do so regularly. And part of that review process, particularly this time around with the new technical manual, we reviewed claims of cases received to understand the nature of those claims, the causation and any influencing factors. But we didn't stop there. We looked at historical project submissions over a period of 12 months to look at what information was given to us and why issues had occurred and defects may have occurred as a result of that. And we went a step further and we looked at our live projects between May 2022 and January 2023, just before we brought the manual in, to again understand whether these things were still happening and how we could really progress our guidance to assist and stop them. So the outcome of the audit was quite eye-opening. You can see here on the screen, to this room, this is not new, I would say. Things like projects starting without designs in place, projects where the communication was not there, and I think that leads off from the previous presentation. The communication is key. A lot of waterproofing specialists being brought in as an afterthought. Somebody's designed it and then thrown it on somebody else's desk and said, please make that work. And it shows when it comes through to us. And these are the many streams of things, lack of clear responsibility. You know, who oversees what and who's pulling the streams of information together for us. And it's really important for us as warranty providers to understand that. So what did we do next? Well, we always review the manual, and that's a constant process, but we put into motion the task of revising the manual, particularly section 2. We also introduced the structural waterproofing risk review, which I'll come on to it a bit later. And that will happen for all projects that include structural waterproofing and has been doing so since May of last year. We started to work with our training team to improve guidance for warranty surveyors because we play a part in making these defects a lesser number. And we also reached out to organisations such as the PCA to get this platform to make people aware of what we want and how we want the information. And I think all of those points really have led to the guidance. There's 4 key changes that I think I should go through today. And the first key change is this essential information. How do we get the right information at the right time? So within the functional requirements now, you will see that we need that information at least 8 weeks before commencement. And that information should include all of the relevant parts, the site investigation reports, the GAs, the general arrangement drawings, the site plans, all of risk mitigation. We need all of that information. And we need that upfront at 8 weeks. Now, people will say, well, why is that? Well, the 8-week window, as I'll term it, is not new. There are other warranty providers who have this. So we've aligned there. We've found that we needed to align. But there's more to it than this. Our audit showed that when projects went wrong, it was largely due to having no information or getting that information submitted as the project progressed. And we considered that 8 weeks is a reasonable window of opportunity to try and reduce that risk. It gives us the opportunity to appraise the risk to warranty from our point of view. But it also gives us the opportunity to talk to the clients and their teams about how we need that risk to be brought down. And it also allows us to go out to our external teams and discuss the plans that are in place for those risks. And that leads us on to the second change. Now, this is directly linked to claims experience on our behalf. And we've stated that habitable spaces must be protected by combined systems of waterproofing protection. Now, many in the room will note that that is more prescriptive than BS 8102. But why? That there is a reason from our point of view. During the audit, we found that a number of failures was happening only when there was a single protection system in place. And we also found that even when we look through the site investigation reports and all of the information that was provided to us, we still found that the design persisted with a single system of waterproofing. And it would have been much easier at that stage to reduce that risk by introducing a combined system, which again is not new to the British standard, as we know. But we also noticed that where there was a single protection system in place, there's an overstatement or an over-reliance on the effectiveness of the drainage. And we were seeing this, and that does bring us on neatly to drainage. Now, the next key change is this one. Type C systems and drainage systems necessary for the waterproofing design must be maintainable. Again, this is not new. This has always been in the warranty manual in section 5, which covers drainage, that these systems need to be maintainable. But in waterproofing situations, it seems to be overlooked for some reason in an area where it is absolutely key and it's being factored into the designs. It's just overlooked. Now, that may not be by the people in this room who design the systems, but at site level, the interpretation is just missed. So we've included it here as a functional requirement. But there's always a but, isn't there? During the audit, we found that when drainage was included in the design, the expected levels of workmanship dropped way below what was expected of the designer. Now, in this instance here, the designer wanted a perforated drain to assist with that risk mitigation. What that was transferred to was a piece of pipe with slots cut in and placed in the base of the trench. To compound the issue, it went nowhere. The ground beams were in, and they just simply could not facilitate outfall. Now, luckily, this was picked up by one of the surveyors. But if we're going to design drainage systems and we are going to rely on them, I'm sure we all agree that that needs to be really needs to be bottomed out. It needs to be chased through. So key change 4, and this really ties into key change 1, which is as part of the warranty risk management strategy that we employ at our end, when we receive an application, we will do initial review of risk on that proposal. Actually titled the Structural Waterproofing Risk Review. Now, it's key here that its aim is to provide a risk overview for the project proposals. It's for us. It's establishing the level of risk for us as warranty providers. So what this is, it's an early assessment of the risk to warranty. We're being really selfish. We're looking at this and we're saying, how are we exposed on these particular projects? But it's also an opportunity to discuss those risks with the client and with their teams about how we can reduce them and bring them down. Before they commence, let's not get to site and have these conversations. And then leading on from that, it's an opportunity then to hand over to the warranty risk surveyor who's going out to site and explain to him the risks of the design, what's being proposed, and what things they should see in place to control them. But what it isn't is that we are not reviewing this against BS 8102. We are not critiquing designs. We are not critiquing how you approach a particular situation. But what we do need to do is we need to understand how your designs work, how they mitigate risk, how the ground is influencing your designs and the considerations that you've given in those designs. And we need to understand that to be able to control those risks. Now, the typical path for this looks a little bit like this. We do an initial review, and that initial review is we will sit down with the site investigation reports, the general arrangement drawings, the waterproofing proposals, and any risk mitigation that's been put in place. This allows us to establish site specifics and the level of risk and complexity involved in the project. And we aim to carry this out within the first 2 weeks of that 8-week window, which is why it's so important that we get the information. If we have the information and we find that it's acceptable, within 2 weeks we can look at that and say, yes, it's an acceptable risk, let's move forward. And we progress to our site teams with the site surveyors. And we then put in place plans with them and the site teams and with waterproofing design specialists and all of the people involved to control those risks. But if it's an unacceptable risk to warranty, we will then seek to look at that and make our comments known for the client and their teams to review. Now, that could be something very straightforward, which doesn't require a meeting. It doesn't require us to go to site. It just really is a comment about the design and what we just need some clarification on. And when we receive that, hopefully, again, we can then progress and do all of the things that we do on site, and it's an acceptable risk to warranty. And we have been doing this. This is running now And there are instances where we still don't get those answers. We ask questions and we still don't get the answers that we need. And that's where we'll sit down with the client, with their teams, and we'll explain our position, and hopefully we will get to the eventual outcome of being able to accept that for risk. And that really brings us to the end of this very short presentation. It's quite whistle-stop, but hopefully it's given you an idea of what we're trying to achieve and some of the things that we've changed in the manual and how we look to, they will direct us towards those changes. And again, it's given us some context as to why. In terms of what's available, Technical Manual version 11 was published in February 2023, and it is available on the website. But also, there is a technical update that you can go to, and this is a basement submissions. This is telling you exactly what we need. It's very prescriptive, it's very straightforward, and it's quite an outline proposal. But this, I would say, if you follow all of those points, we will get to a really good position that we're comfortable with, and then we can move on the projects. Thank you.